Coming to you live on location, this is the Between the Benches podcast, where we will discuss anything and everything hockey related. Let's drop the puck and get the action underway. All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of the Between the Benches podcast. As always, it's your host, Dak. Hope everybody is enjoying what unfortunately is coming to an end, Brock. I don't know if you've realized this or not. We only have 6 games of hockey left in the season, and then
hopefully 6.
And then life becomes meaningless. Like I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but we are the Between the Benches podcast. We are Gramless tonight because that guy sucks. And we are, hell with that guy. He's got bad hockey takes anyway. But we are presented by Old City Sports Network. Make sure to check out OldeCity.com for all of your, all of your flyers. Sorry, we got a chat already. All of your flyer, podcast, articles, everything in between. That's Old City Sports Network. And make sure to use the promo code OldCity15 for 15% off the merch. And we are Benches15 for 15% off our merch store as well. But other than that, I have my Canadian colleague with me this evening. What's up, Cam Ward fan? I've got my colleague, Brock Canadetty, Big Finch. How are we?
Big Finch. 2 words that have never been put, next to each other when referencing anything other than my weight.
Right.
Or my attitude. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Always a pleasure, sir. Absolutely. Always a pleasure, as you know. What a great game of hockey we had tonight. I can't wait to get into it. You're right, though. It is a sad time to be, a hockey fan in some ways, because these are the best games of the year, but then everything falls off a cliff. Or at least eventually falls off a cliff. It's more like July and August where it's really off a cliff. This is still the best time to be a hockey fan. June's the best. June's the best.
Yeah. No, I don't know. April's pretty good. It's tough to beat April. Playoff pushes are happening.
I agree. I have a bit planned for the off season that I haven't brought to your attention yet, so we'll leave that there. But I have thoughts on how April/May could be improved. I'll say that.
Starting the season earlier, I'm imagining.
No. It's more playoff related, if anything. Like how we won't get into it now.
Gotcha. Okay.
More of an off-season thing.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, we're glad to have everybody with us. We have a couple people in the chat. Looks like we got some comments rolling in. Let's see here. I've been tracking the total goals to the playoffs on the little clicker. The goal number is now up to 496. Good. Wow. Nice stat. I like that. That's a nice stat.
Fun stat. That'd be good to track for goals per game each year. If you kept track of that year to year, be curious to see which way that's trending, if it's trending any which way at all.
Heck yeah. Well, we're good to have you and everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody. You just saw the Edmonton Oilers win in overtime in Game 1, which we'll get to here in a second. But first, we have to go Around the Rink. And Around the Rink is sponsored by or brought to you by IronSteelThreads.com. Make sure to check out all the great hoodies, shirts, apparel. They do new designs every month. Yeah, you were gone for a second. They have new designs every month. Yeah. They are made here in the States, and you can use the promo code OldCity10 for 10% off, and part of your proceeds or whatever you buy from the site goes to local youth hockey organizations. So people helping people. It's good to see. But with that being said, Brock, this happened very recently after our last podcast, but the Kraken announced that they hired Lane Lambert as their new head coach. I don't know if you knew too much about Lane Lambert, so let me give you a little bit of a rundown here. He was the head coach of the Milwaukee Admirals, hired in July of 2007, I do believe I have here. Yep, and then he was promoted to an assistant coach for the Predators in 2011. So he held that position for, 4 years, give or take. He was then brought over as an assistant coach to the Washington Capitals on their 2018 Stanley Cup run, and then he signed with the Islanders shortly thereafter. Obviously, the next season, he signed with Barry Trotz to join the New York Islanders. So this man's been around some pretty stout head coaches, to say the least. He's seen some success. So, and after Torts got fired following the 2021-22 season, Lambert was actually promoted to the head coaching position, but he was shortly there let go early in January of that season, 2024, after a 19-15-11 record and they were out of playoff contention. So first thoughts. Oh, last note, by the way, Lambert was a boy of yours. He was on the Toronto Maple Leafs coaching staff, hired June 5th of 2024. So he spent a little bit of time with the Maple Leafs as well. But as far as from the Kraken standpoint, does this move the needle for you? I mean, what was your first opinion of this hire?
You hinted at it when you said this guy's been behind, some stout coaching. He's seen the big guys do it. See, one would think that might help translate, but I'm not necessarily convinced after watching him be a head coach in New York on the island. He was good for the Leafs. I'm actually kind of sad to see him go. I believe he was the PK coach, if I'm not mistaken, and he did great work. They played a lot differently this year with
100%
on the PK. Now, from the Kraken perspective, and if I'm a Kraken fan as well, I don't know how I feel about this. This is now their third coach in 3 years. So I don't know, man. How many coaches is Ron Francis going to get? Oh, that's right. Probably at least another half dozen because he just got a promotion. Isn't he now president?
Yeah, I think he's
I don't know, man.
Operations.
I don't know. I don't think it's the coach. I think this team is fundamentally flawed, and they need to really shake things up in a big way when it comes to how they're thinking about this team should be structured. Because what they're doing right now, it ain't it. I don't know, man. Unless they have something big planned for this offseason, this to me is just another – I don't want to say set up for failure because that feels a bit extreme and unfair. But in essence, I just don't think this does anything for me.
Nothing doesn't do the move.
I mean, there was that thing, I believe it was on 32 Thoughts that they were talking about when Patrick Waugh got hired. Coaches, when they get their second crack at the can, they seem to have their greatest success. So this is Lane Lambert's second crack at the can as a head coach. So if you're looking for a positive spin on it, I guess there's that. But that Seattle team does nothing for me. They are where you can't be in professional sports. Mediocrity, right in the middle. Not good enough to contend, but not bad enough to get the stellar player in the draft that you so desperately need.
Yeah, they don't even tank well. You know what I mean? So they can't even tank correctly. No. What can they do? But that's a fair point. I guess we'll definitely see. To your point, he does seem to have a little bit of a special team savant about him.
Yes.
So we'll definitely see if that improves for the Kraken moving forward. So, and then real quick, the Penguins announced today that they are hiring Dan Muse. We will get Caden's thoughts on this as well. All right, as promised, we have our Penguins homer here from Old City Sports Network. Everybody welcome in Cadeyn McCrory. He is I hope I said that correctly. I practiced so many times. He is our Penguins correspondent with Old City. Caden, happy to have you. I wanted to bring you in obviously the Penguins announced they were going to bring in Dan Muse as their head coach. We'll obviously grab Brock's thoughts on it here in just a second. But as our Penguins homer and correspondent, what was your first reaction to hearing the hiring of Dan Muse?
Well, I wrote an article a couple weeks back, and it had the top 5 candidates, right? DJ Smith, Mitch Love, those kind of guys. Dan Muse wasn't really in the conversation. He was a guy that just kind of appeared out of nowhere within the last couple of days. And then all of a sudden I hear, oh, Mitch Love's probably not going to get the job. DJ Smith is still interviewing. And then boom, it was Dan Muse. So it was kind of out of left field, but I do like the hire. I mean, they always said that they wanted to go with a younger-minded coach, Muse being 42. He fits the bill. He coached a guy like Rucker McGrody at the USNTDP. I really do like this hire. A lot of people are saying, he doesn't have much head coaching experience. I think that's okay with the timeline right now for the Penguins because they're just kind of in that uncertainty. So you want to take a chance on a guy. I don't mind Dan Muse.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I brought this up later, but it seems very much like these developmental coaches are going to get a chance, and then these bigger organizations are maybe looking to replace them eventually with a guy that is going to take them to that championship pedigree. So do you feel that's kind of where the Penguins are heading with this hire?
I hope so. I mean, as long as you have Sidney Crosby on the roster, you're going to try to be competitive. The last couple of years with Mike Sullivan just were not that. But with the influx of younger guys like a McGrody, like maybe a guy like Vasily Ponomarev, you could see Owen Pickering, Harrison Brunicky make the lineup this year. It might be better just to have that younger-minded coach, the guy that can understand where these new young kids are coming from, fit them into the bill. Like a Mike Sullivan could not do that. And he's going to struggle with that with New York with a guy like Gabe Perreault. So I think with a younger group of guys coming in to help Sid and his crew, this is the ideal move. And I think hopefully, get some other younger players on that roster with more NHL experience, the Penguins could sneak their way into the playoffs, hopefully. And I think Muse could be the man to, just get him back to place. I think that's all we're asking for as Penguin fans right now.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because that was going to be my next question is, as a Penguins fan, is your level or the bar you're sitting for this to be a successful hire? Is it to see them make the playoffs? Is it just to see them, play, have better team play or maybe better defense? Because that's kind of what Dan Muse is known for, is his penalty kills, specialty. That's definitely something that's traveled with him everywhere he's been. What would you say? What would you rank your level of success, or what would you want to see as a Penguins fan with this hire?
I mean, the easy answer is obviously just to go back to the playoffs. I mean, you want Sid to be happy in his final couple of years here in Pittsburgh. Yeah. I mean, he's not going anywhere. I'm going to stay that certainty. He's not getting traded. But I think simply just make the playoffs. That's just simple. You get guys, like I said, McCrory and Pickering, that experience and just get into the playoffs. Kind of like what Ottawa and Montreal were this year. You can get blown out by whoever the first team is. Just get there. That's just, I think, the simple answer here. And the defensive-minded thing, I think that really is going to work well. That well-round these guys. I know McCrory had his skating problem or whatever. I think Muse is going to be a good fit for him to help him become more well-rounded.
No, 100%. And you speak to that defensive pedigree a little bit. Do you I guess the hot topic going into the summer, and we'll definitely get you back on the pod later to talk about this because I think it's a fascinating topic, but do you see Erik Karlsson buying into this defensive mindset that obviously Dan Muse is going to bring to the team? That's kind of the big question mark, I would assume.
I'd say absolutely not. I don't think Karlsson's that kind of player. I think at the end of the day, Karlsson was going to get traded during the offseason anyway. I mean, the Penguins are just going to try to offload that money. They're okay eating it. They have $20+ million in cap space that they're probably not going to use right now. So I think somebody's going to get Karlsson, and I don't think he's going to fit in the bill whatsoever with Dan Muse. But if he is, I'd love to see the drama between those two. But I think the rest of the guys on the roster, especially a guy like Ryan Graves, if they don't buy him out, I think can actually improve from last year. I know there's not really much good to say about Ryan Graves from last year, but I think with Muse, there could be that small jump to what they hoped he was going to be when they first signed him 2 years ago. So maybe there's that little bit of hope left here for Ryan Graves with Muse.
No, absolutely. And ironically, Ryan Graves was part of our pointless player draft. You might have been a little late to that. We had after the first 10 games of the season, we all picked players. We build like our own teams of who is yet to register a point. And it came down to Ryan Graves was the last man standing. So shout out to him. And then obviously with them being in the Metro division, it's pretty wide open from I guess from a playoff standpoint. Last year, it was a dumpster fire, that Metro division. Obviously the Jackets were right there at the end as well. And as far as, I guess back to that kind of success question, do you see them competing for the division, or would you rather, I guess, do you set the bar more at the wild card stage?
Definitely wild card. I think it's a tall ask. Washington had a really good year. I think they're going to be able to replicate that. And then the Devils probably should be in that category as long as they stay healthy. After that, it's really a mixed bag. I'm Carolina, of course, as well. Will always be in that mix. Everything after that, I think, is a mixed bag. Some of those teams maybe could drop to wild card. I don't see the Penguins competing for the top of the division, but sneaking in the wild card 1, wild card 2, I think is realistically, as long as the season starts the way that we kind of hope. But I think that's just the top level I think this team can get to next year, at least.
Right. Absolutely. No, fair enough. Well, we appreciate you joining us. A little birdie told me you might be having your own podcast coming up. Where you want to let the people know where they can find you and kind of what that podcast is? Yeah,
it'll be called Yins on Ice. It should be starting up here within the next week or so. Myself and my colleague Caleb McCabe, in partnership with Old City Sports Network, we are beyond excited to get this going. We put a lot of work in, and we're ready to showcase it now. I know I've got a couple articles out on the website as well regarding Penguins, buyouts, the coaching search when it was going on. So I'm just happy to be here. I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we get as good viewership as you guys do for my part.
No, I'm happy to have you anytime. We'll definitely have to bring you on whenever we have any kind of Penguins news for sure. We do appreciate your time, Cadeyn, as always, and hopefully we get Pat McAfee on your show. That's kind of my dream, honestly. We'll get the Yinsers really yucking it up on that podcast. I think it'd be a good time. But
that would be awesome.
I couldn't agree more. That'd be fantastic. So again, thanks, Cadeyn, for joining us. We're going to kick it over back to ourselves with Brock to get his opinions on Dan Muse. Just to grab your quick thoughts on Dan Muse, he spent 5 seasons in the NHL as an assistant coach for the Rangers from 2023 to 2025, and then Nashville from 2017 to 2020. So 5 years in total, 2 different teams. Muse ran the penalty kill for Nashville, which was one of the top 5 units in the league during his time. He was with Nashville when they went to the Cup final. Also helped the Rangers get to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago. He also began his coaching career in the college ranks. He coached Yale from 09 to 14. And so he had some other stops along the way, but that was kind of the big one. So he also has some experience with USA Hockey as well, serving as a head coach of the National Team Development Program from 2020 to 2023. He's also was the head coach of the under 18 team in 2021 and 2022, earning a gold medal as well at the 2023 U18 championship. So when I first put this in our group chat, you were just kind of like yawned, or kind of like you were surprised kind of by the hire. Mm-hmm. After I did a little bit of reading, he does seem to have a little bit of, again, kind of that savantness, that specialty of special teams, especially penalty kill, from his degree of success. So the Penguins were like one of the worst teams in the league last year in goals against. I don't know if that's got more to do with who's in net or if it's got more to do with who they have on the roster, but is this a step in the right direction, or is this more of like a developmental coach, and then they're going to bring in the next coach behind him to hopefully take them on cup runs? So almost similar to what the Blackhawks are doing, or what people are saying the Blackhawks are doing.
I'm glad you brought up the Blackhawks, because that's exactly the comparison I was going to make. that I do think is a perfect comparison. I wouldn't expect much out of this. I cited Jeff Blashill in the last pod when we compared the Chicago Blackhawks situation to the Detroit situation when Blashill in fact took over for the Blackhawks. So it's kind of ironic how there was a direct connection with the actual coach, and this time there's no direct connection because I haven't heard much of anything about Dan Muse. When you're hearing like the coaching carousel rumblings of people are interviewing this person, that person, whatever, usually you hear this guy's name in the crossfire. I don't remember, and my memory's shoddy at best, but I don't remember ever hearing this guy's name in any of these front office discussions for head coach. So I don't know what to make of this. What you just told me is about what I know about Dan Muse. But if things are to be believed on the resume, I think he's trending in the right direction and has all the makings of a potentially really great coach. So I don't know, maybe Dubas is a genius. I'm not convinced, at least not just yet, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to stop you right there with the whole Dubas is a genius thing. So
I'm not saying he is. I have the benefit of hindsight when it comes to talking about Dubas. I get a little bit of a 2020 vision at it, I guess. I don't know. The man can't build a decor to save his life when you really think about it. This year's decor compared to the Dubas's decors, night and day.
Definitely something we could definitely approve upon, to say the least. So, well, fair enough. Well, I had that, and then the last thing I had on the docket here for Around the Ring to wrap us up before we get into tonight's game was the NHL awards are starting to become announced.
Yes.
The two that we have known so far, the Selke Award is going to be renamed. I'm telling you, eventually they're going to rename it either the Patrice Bergeron Award or the Alexander Barkov Award or Sasha Barkov. Sasha's probably a little shorter, so maybe they'll put that on the trophy. But yeah, he is announced the award winner, Sasha Barkov. I believe he became the sixth person in history to win 3 Selkies or more, right?
And the list the other 5.
Yeah, go ahead. Would you want to? I know one of your favorite.
I don't have it in front of me, but I know
okay.
Datsuk's on that list.
Nice. Okay, so we got Datsuk. Let me pull it up here just a second. I just had it. Maybe. This is great. This is great podcasting. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I got Pavel Datsuk. And why are you going to have me do this? We know that I suck at pronouncing these
Why
names.
do you think I made you do this?
So you have Patrice Bergeron, Pavel Datsuk.
Barkov.
Oh, God. Obviously, Alexander Barkov. We have Bob Gainey. We have Guy Carbano. See. And then you have Yuri Lehtinen.
Yuri
Lehtinen. See, I was close. All right. Well, see, we're getting better.
That was good.
We're getting better. Good. Yeah, we're getting better.
Guy is Guy. It's a French name. Guy.
Yeah. Well, he did play for the Canadians, which would make a lot of sense.
Sure
does. But yeah, those are your 3 or your 6 individual gentlemen to win 3 or more Selke awards. I imagine Barkov's going to win this at least one more time before he retires, if not 2 or 3 more. we'll definitely see. He might get beat over. He might, if anything, his biggest competition is his teammate.
Sure
So
is.
We'll definitely see what happens. And then the other award that was brought to our attention was the Ted Lindsey Award, and that is being awarded to Nikita Kucherov. Any surprise there from your end?
No, he had a good year. He was in the Hart mix. When I saw that, I was definitely more curious about who's going to win the Hart. I think that's interesting because that's voted on by the media. I forget which parts of the media. I know it's labeled every year, and they disclose their votes after the fact. So we can sort and figure that out later. But I am curious to see who wins the Hart now. They're apparently supposed to be doing a hour-long special before Game 4, revealing whatever awards they don't reveal between now and then. It'll be the rest of the awards. So the idea, I'm going to save this because this is my C this week, so I'm going to save this explanation. But
nice.
They're doing it differently this year, and so far I think they're hitting all the high notes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. No, I completely agree. I don't want to take your C thunder because I think I know where you're going with that. So, well, we will go ahead and transition. We might have a guest join us, by the way, on this podcast. So we'll keep your eyes open for that. Eventually, it's just going to pop up on your screen. It's going to be really funny. But we'll get into Panthers and Oilers Game 1. By the way, this is brought to you by decalsbyaaron.com. Make sure to check out our buddy Aaron, and he makes decals. I don't know if you could tell that by the domain, but you do now. Shout out to Aaron. Let him know that your friends at Between the Benches sent you over, and he'll get you taken care of. But we have to get into the result tonight for Game 1. And ironically, we have a homer with us this evening.
Oh, he did get back to you.
We have
look at this guy.
We have joining us just in time to talk about Panthers and Oilers. We have the one, the only Mike Napoletano joining us. Mike, how are you this evening?
I am riding high, boys. Holy moly!
Wow, what nice orange shirt you have on.
Yeah.
I just threw whatever on.
First of all, and my other question is, why couldn't you join us live from the ice bath that you were sitting in? That was my other question.
Listen, it smelled like skunk out there. I live on a soccer field, so there must have been a creature out there roaming around, and there was all this fog, all this haze because of the change of the temperature. So it looked really creepy out there. I want to start my haunted house, but no, I was chattering in the ice bath. I went to the gym for 2 hours, and then I delayed my ice bath because overtime was on. I was like, that can wait, you know.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, we're happy to have you. Yeah, I was gonna say we're happy. Right. You're just in time. Tell us, Mike, what was your first initial reaction to that game? All the way from the start to the end. What were your first thoughts here?
Well, as I said, I was at the gym, so I was only watching moments, but I was watching enough in between sets and slacking off to kind of tell that, so Edmonton had scored first. I'll be honest, I missed that goal. 1 minute and
6 seconds in, baby. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was just getting there. I'm like, wow, okay. And then all I saw from then on was the Panthers holding the possession. It was all Florida. And you definitely saw it when that goal was scored. They challenge it. It was a little bit like what the Kings did to Edmonton, and then Edmonton gets the power play, so a little Uno reverse card where Edmonton loses the challenge, and then next thing you know, Florida's sent right back on the power play, and you kind of knew that Florida was going to be buzzing after that. So you lose the lead. I will say Edmonton did a great job at staying in that game and fighting back, but giving up that third goal really felt like they were starting to let things slip, and the Panthers had all the momentum. Then you flash forward to the overtime, and it felt like the majority of the possession at first was in Florida's favor, possessing the puck. Edmonton struggles with a couple things. Edmonton struggles with breakouts from their zone. If they can get the neutral zone, they're fine, but the stretch passes are not working against Florida. And they struggle with zone entries on the offensive side of things as well. Everything is either a dump and chase, or it's a maybe flip it up and maybe McDavid's going to get there in time because he's got the speed. So they need to kind of clean that up. The passing was a little sloppy, but then I thought after a while they kind of settled down and retook the momentum and possession to an extent. There wasn't a whole lot of offensive zone time that was sustained, a lot of shots coming from the point. But I was literally just I was watching the game with my mom here in my living room, and I was literally just telling her, I'm like, if they don't – so Nugent Hopkins right before that goal, still on that power play, He makes a play where he gets pinched on the boards and throws it back to his man at the point. It gets picked off and Florida goes the other way and has an opportunity shorthanded. I was like, if Nugent Hopkins just sends that puck low instead of high, I get they want to be comfortable and not try to push the puck too deep and lose it in the corner because Florida was kind of taking all that. If they send the puck low, though, and they have a guy there who just so happened to be, it was Corey Perry and then Connor McDavid, but they had numbers along the boards. If they send that puck low instead of high, you don't have to try to take a shot through traffic from the point and have it go the other way. You can get something down low and go back low to high. And that's exactly what McDavid does is he's down low. The focus gets shifted to him. Dreisaitl's all alone, not quite high, but in the slot. And, that's the essence of low to high and boom, game over.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's nuts.
The biggest thing I saw too was like the penalty kill. I think Florida was really trying to be aggressive there to get to the intermission to just end that, because I think there was like 30 seconds left on the penalty, and there's probably only 30 seconds left in the period itself, or maybe a little less than that. Let's see, because he scored with 19:29. So yeah, there's really 30 seconds left in the period when he scored. And I think there was a 17-second difference between what the penalty was going to be and then obviously what the end of the period was going to be. So I think Florida was really trying to push the envelope there. I mean, they're always aggressive on the penalty kill. We know this. This is their bread and butter. But to your point, I think them scoring really early was kind of the nail in the coffin. I know they were down 3-1, Edmonton was, but I think them getting on the board early, getting the crowd involved was a big deal. The challenge was here or there. I mean, I let's talk about that, shall we? Because I thought in the moment, I definitely thought it was goaltender interference because it didn't look like he was aided in the fall. It looked like he just decided to fall. But I don't know. Go ahead, Brock. You're making faces at me. Go ahead.
Oh, watch it back. Bennett goes down easy. Let me start with that. He goes down easy. But by the definition, he trips on, I think it's Kulak's ankle. He does. The ankle is there. He goes to move backwards. He hits the ankle. Whoops-a-daisy. Sam Bennett doing Sam Bennett things. It's just, yeah. That's my take on it. It's shitty, but it is a penalty. Yeah. Or sorry, it is a trip. It is a trip. Sorry. It's not a penalty.
I do think they got the call right on that.
Yes.
It goes into that gray area of what is goaltender interference, because there's not much of a push from the defenseman from Kulak. And like you said, it's more Bennett tripping over the ankle and falling into the goaltender. So maybe a decade ago, and the reason I remember this so well is because that's when the Hawks were that dominant team making these runs, and you'd see it so often, right? In competitive games that meant something. It's one of those where they would have maybe 10 years ago called it not goaltender interference, but don't count the goal and have a face off instead because the goaltender was unable to play his position. Right. So but they've kind of cleaned that up to the sense where it's all right, if the guy falls now and it's not, necessarily goaltender interference, then it's going to be a goal. So, I mean, that I agree with you. I do think that they got the call right, but Edmonton has every right to challenge that. I mean, if I'm Edmonton, I think I'm challenging that as
100%.
well.
100%.
And you lose that challenge, and then now you just have to suffer the consequences of trying to kill that penalty, which they did not. I liked what you said about going back to Florida being on the penalty kill. I did notice they're aggressive very high. They know that the shots are going to come from, because they have the middle of the ice jammed up. They know that the shots are going to come from the point. So the very start of that penalty kill for Florida in overtime, they were on Edmonton's defense at the point. It was when McDavid picks up the puck and then they kind of took a breath and took a step back.
Yeah, because you can't
created that separation.
Right.
You have to respect
him. Yeah. You have to respect him.
Yeah, he's the second best first overall pick in the series. I mean, we established that in our last podcast. Yeah.
I'm glad that take still lives.
It's still there because Nugent Hopkins is playing well. Other big thing, other takeaway also, because Carter Verhaeghe scored in this game, and I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but coming into this, the Panthers were 25-2 in the postseason when he scores, and now they're 25-3.
The streak is over. No, the streak is over.
The
Panthers were leading. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, that
too.
Is over.
Yes, that's 30 straight games where they've hadn't lost. Yes, that is correct.
30-1. Wow.
There's a lot of streaks that ended tonight with that goal. Also, over under on how much Sam Bennett's going to make this offseason. I'm going to set it at 9.5. By the way, $9.5 million per year, and you guys can battle me all you want. But I think he's going to get 10.
I think a better number is 9. At 9.5, I take the under. At 9, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
If he stays in Florida, though, you're going to hate the contract because it's going to be like freaking, I don't know, 7.99999 just to piss everybody off because it's not 8. You're going to hate it if he signs in Florida. It's going to be an absolute discount. Yeah. If he gets to market and continues playing like this, it could be 9 to 10. It could be, for sure.
Could you imagine Marchand staying on this team, too, with Bennett?
You're going to hate that contract if Marchand stays.
Because I think Ekblad's gone. I don't think they're going to worry about paying Ekblad. I think they have the bargaining chip with him. They have Seth Jones. They're going to be like, okay, buddy, we're going to give you this. If you don't want it, then see you later. We understand that your services are no longer needed. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Go ahead, Mike.
There's going to have to be a couple of players taking hometown discounts if they want to run it back because they're going to be in, for lack of a better term, cap hell. Coming out of this, I mean, cup or no cup, they've gotten back there. They've gotten there 3 years in a row, right? So these guys are going to want to get paid, and I'm going to take the over on Sam Bennett because of the fact that the Chicago Blackhawks and Kyle Davidson are going to be signing him, and you need to give him the over in order to bring him to Chicago. I mean, the city's lovely, the living here is great, the people are nice. You got all of those things. No, but
there's some great parades that happen in June. They're just not for Stanley Cups. They're for like Pride Month, probably.
These days, yes. But you also have playing with Connor Bedard, but this team is still rebuilding, so you have to sweeten the pot a little bit for him to sign here, and that's why I'm taking the over, baby. Give me Sam Bennett.
100%. The other kind of irony about that Leon Draisaitl goal, 1 minute and 6 seconds into the game. So I had the stats department do some digging, and if you look back at the Stanley Cup Finals last year, the Panthers line that had Barkov and Reinhart on it only allowed 1 goal all series against Draisaitl and McDavid. And it only took them 1 minute and 6 seconds to go ahead and match that from last year. So literally, they're good. That's going to be for my money. That's going to be the difference in this series is it's going to be the battle of those top lines. Like if the defense of Florida can shut down Draisaitl and McDavid, obviously, they're probably going to win the cup. I was going to say, they're already not off to the right start. So we'll see what happens there. And then Ekholm was back. He made a big difference. For Edmonton as well.
What a pass.
Great pass. Great pass. Yes, 100%. The other thing, too, Florida coming into the series was shooting 14.3% as a team. That is the highest since 2000 for a playoff contending team, or I guess for a playoff team in general. And I'm assuming that's when they started tracking shooting percentage. So the last 25 years, we've not seen a team shoot this high or score at this kind of rate, I guess, from a shooting percentage standpoint. So, I mean, as far as like the rest of the game, did you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on?
I got nothing.
I think you hit most of everything.
I do have more fun stats if you want me to keep going.
Before you hammer out some more stats, I do think it bears mention that I think that we've become so accustomed to McDavid, we become desensitized when he goes and does McDavid things. He was absolutely shot out of a cannon tonight. He was a part of every single play that first period. It was ridiculous. Whenever he was on this, he had like one of the best penalty kills I've ever seen a player have ever, period. It was nuts. It was the one where he stick lifted Reinhart in the slot, took the puck down the ice. I think he had a chance on that penalty kill himself to score, put it off the bar. I think that was that same sequence. Either way, I just wanted to give McDavid his flowers because I feel like we've just become so accustomed to him doing this crazy shit on a nightly basis that we don't talk about it enough. Like
he's competing against himself. Like he's tarnishing his own. He's tarnishing his own legacy by like whenever he has a normal game, if that makes sense. Yeah, very LeBron-ish.
A normal game for him is like a great game for pick the best player.
Actually, I'm glad you said that, Brock, because I found this amazing stat. Did you know that 51% of his playoff games he's played, he's had 2 points or more, and in 22% of his playoff games, he's had 0 points. And so literally, you have what is it, 20? And then 27% of his playoff games, he's got 1 point or more. So
4 of every 5 games, essentially.
Literally. 100. Yeah,
he points in them.
At least a point.
What is that like to have your star players show up? What the fuck is that like?
Yeah, true Leafs fan. Oh, other thing about Sam Bennett too. He became the second player in NHL history to have 11 road goals in a single postseason. Wow. So
the Panthers have been tonight.
Yeah, they've been great on the road. And the other player did that in 2018. You guys want to tell me who that was?
I wondered if you had the name.
Oh yeah, I do. You know,
this is road goals.
Road goals. To have 11 road goals in a single postseason.
Tell me it's Ovi. Be Ovi.
No, it's not Ovi.
Tom Wilson that year?
No.
Was it on the Caps?
No, it was not on the Capitals.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, so maybe I'm thinking Vegas instead. Then it's got to be one of the two, right? Because
be like.
It's not on a cup. It's not on the cup final team. Nope.
And he has 11 road goals.
Yep.
Holy shit! Who did they even play in the conference finals? I don't even. Remember.
I know. Vegas played Winnipeg.
Okay, so Tampa, Winnipeg. So think of those
teams.
No.
No. Not on.
Well, no, I wasn't Tampa. It wasn't Tampa. No.
Okay, so it's
Winnipeg. Washington beat Tampa.
I understand that, but you were.
Right, but the players not on Tampa.
Correct.
The players on Winnipeg. Adam Lowry.
No, I'm looking for Mark Scheifele, fellas.
That was my next
one guess on Winnipeg, bastard.
Looking for Winnipeg. Yeah, looking for. This is great podcasting, first of all. But anyway, Mark Scheifele was the answer to that one. Just insane. And then another fun stat that I found was Florida is making its 4th Stanley Cup final appearance in history. Can you guys tell me how many times they've made the playoffs as an organization?
Oh no. I think it's only like 5 or 6.
That's 11. They've made it 11 times in the club history, but they've made the cup final 4 times out of the 11. So pretty good. I mean, as a Toronto fan, would you take that?
Yes.
Okay.
Just didn't even hesitate.
Just making sure. And it's very important too. I think Florida needed to get off to a fast start, and this backs us up a little bit too, just because Edmonton is 5-0 this postseason in games 4 through 7. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So they got to get out and get on them early, and unfortunately, they did that. And then
what's wild about that is that they've only played 5 games in games 5 through 7. Think about that.
Yeah, because
in 3 rounds they've only played LA, 5.
Yeah,
Like that's also a wild stat. Like they only played 10 games in the second and third round, which is wild.
Yeah,
but all right. Yeah,
and McDavid is looking to become the 4th player in history to lead the postseason back-to-back years in points. So,
him or Dry.
You look at how important this Stanley Cup final is. Even though it's the same 2 teams, it's very different from last year because of the fact that Edmonton has the home ice advantage here. So, a Game 7 would be in Edmonton, not in Florida. But if you go down in Game 1 at home and you're Edmonton. And it starts out like last year, you're behind the 8 ball again, and you're looking at maybe splitting at home and then having to walk into Florida, where Florida's been solid at home as well. So, I mean, what are you looking at then? Being down 3-1, coming back to Edmonton for Game 5, like you needed this. And they always throw the stat out there of like I think it's like 77% of teams that win Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final go on to win the cup. So,
is it really that high? Wow.
Like that,
That's really high. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Blackhawks really never lost a Game 1 in 10, 13, or 15. So, I mean, we know that well here in Chicago, but you see it pretty much in every series. I can't remember the last series.
That's a crazy stat. I think that's
Did you see the other stat where it showed that every team that went down 0-2 starting the postseason, like it has gone on to win the Stanley Cup? Like the 2018 Capitals started the postseason 0-2, and they went on to win the cup. And like there was like 8 teams that have done this, and literally all 8 of them went on. The teams that had made it to the Stanley Cup final that started 0-2 had all won the cup final. So 8 times I think it's been done.
Sometimes you have to really lose to figure it out, to figure out the problem, I guess.
100%.
What's going on here with Edmonton?
Well,
the crazy thing, too, that everybody forgets is, like, they went down 0-2, but Eddie Olczyk brought it up on the broadcast tonight during the overtime period where he was saying you forget that not only – or it might have been the third period. But he said not only do you forget, or not only did they go down 0-2 to the Kings, but on top of it, they were down 4-3 going into the third period of Game 3. Yeah. And they exploded for like 4 goals. So, I mean, you're talking like they didn't even figure it out all of Game 3 either until the very end. So they could have been down 3-0 to the Kings.
Yeah. Well, thank God Calvin Pickard exists. That's all I got to say.
Yikes,
yeah. He literally saved their whole post. I think I mentioned that on the last week's pod that I was just like, what would the universe look like if Jim Hillier wasn't an idiot? If Jim Hillier was just not making boneheaded decisions out here. But the big thing too, guys, does the travel in this series, because they're 2,541 miles apart, these two cities, by the way. So is that going to make a difference, especially after an overtime game like this? Can it factor into the rest or recovery for teams?
I think it can, but it's not. I don't know. There's a lot of breaks between games in this series. Like there's 2 games between games 2 and 3, and then there's another 2 games between games 3 and 4. That being said, then they travel back to Edmonton, assuming it gets to 5, which I think we all are assuming this is at least getting to 5. Then there's only 1 game rest there, but I think it goes back to 2, and I think there's another 2. Because if I remember correctly, it's all over on a Thursday. I think it's like can't remember how many days it is. I did that joke with my father today, and now I'm drawing a blank on how many days it is exactly. So
I forget. Yeah, I mean, I think these two teams are used to it, being that they were in the same position last year. And I don't even remember if there was those 2 extra days of rest that you're talking about. But I did look
Friday,
at
the 20th.
The 20th.
The 20th is technically game 7.
Yeah, 2 weeks tomorrow. Or no, 2 weeks.
16 days. 16 days.
15 days.
Yeah.
It's technically
so, yeah. I do think, of course, having an overtime period tonight, the recovery is probably a little different for both of these teams, but it's not like game 2 is back in Florida. So you get to stay where you're at, recover a little bit. It's going to be a little bit tougher, I think, for Florida to recover on the road here than it is for Edmonton. Obviously, of course, winning in front of the home crowd and having that momentum going into game 2. I don't care what anybody says about, momentum doesn't carry over game to game. There's a little bit of that does for sure.
Paul Maurice would tell you, no, there isn't, which I think is ironic. Paul Maurice would tell you the exact opposite.
Well, because they're in that position where, they don't want the momentum to carry over. So I think that benefits him. I know he said it at other times as well, but I still believe, if you're Edmonton right now, you're flying high, and maybe you have to come back down to earth a little bit to keep your head straight for game 2. But I just don't see this team faltering when it comes to having their eye on the prize, because it's not for Edmonton, it's not game by game. Yes, you're taking it game by game, but it's even going into this series, McDavid's just been thinking about this for like 365 days of being back here and so like, are they going to take their foot off the gas? Not now, not especially when they get an overtime winner at home, and they've kind of, I won't say they've figured it out, but they've scored 4 on Bobrovsky tonight. I mean, that's a win. That's a win in and of itself, other than the actual scoreline.
And Zach Hyman called it. He said they'd be back. So if I was going to ask you for your predictions, RIP. He's not really gone. He's still with us. His wrist is gone.
His wrist is gone.
Yeah. Hopefully he's a righty. You know what I mean? Anyway, as far as predictions for this series, how do we see it going from this point forward? And we'll start with Mike, since Brock has got to wet his whistle here.
Yes. I had said Edmonton in 6, but that would mean they're winning the cup on the road, which is very doable. But I think if you can steal a game in Florida, obviously game 2 is in Edmonton. If they go up 2-0, it's going to be tough to do. But if you can steal a game in Florida, you come back home for game 5, you win game 5. I think any time you have your, foot on their throat and you have the opportunity to close it out, you have to. You can't just, obviously you're not going to wait and go, let's win it at home game 7. No, don't go to a game 7. Just get the job done as soon as possible. So I think 6 is the perfect number. I do think that if they can be up 3-1 or 3-2 by game 6, it would be 3-2. I do think that they can close it out in Florida.
Okay.
That's gonna be tough to follow up there, Big Canada Daddy. What you got for me?
No, his logic is sound. I would definitely tend to agree with him. I think that's the way to go about it if you're going to go about it that way. But I was so undecided going into today.
I'm still undecided.
I could not decide how to go about this to logic my way into who I want to win or even how they're going to win, why they're going to win, however angle you want to look at it.
Wait a minute. You claimed your fandom.
I did. I'm getting there.
Okay.
So
sorry.
my change in opinion comes from a basketball take. So I hope both of you can maybe touch on the details of this, maybe add some light to it. I heard that apparently Giannis has some interest in the Toronto Raptors. Is that true?
No.
You haven't heard that at all?
No. Why would he want to go there?
Mike is squinting at me, or at least he was frozen squinting at me. And
I hadn't heard that.
No? Okay, so maybe this is from a podcast. So I would assume that they had a source somewhere that said this to them. I don't know. Like, relax.
Sports memory? Is that what their source was?
I have no idea.
All right,
so
enlighten me.
The logic still pans. Like, it makes sense the way they're explaining it. If he wants to go, it doesn't even have to be Toronto. Let's say it's somewhere else. Okay, he wants to go somewhere else because he's already won in Milwaukee.
Okay.
So I'm bringing this back to the Leafs. If Connor McDavid wins a cup in Edmonton, I've already done it in Edmonton. I'm going to go do it in Toronto. That's it. That's my pick. I hope he wins next year, too, without a contract. I've done it twice now. I'm going to go to Toronto. That's why it's a selfish, completely conceited take. But it is my take.
Okay.
Actually, you're not wrong. Antetokounmpo himself is going to the off-season open-minded, quote, about a possible new home. Per ESPN's Shams Charania, one of those teams is the Toronto Raptors, as the Toronto Stars' Doug Smith reports there is mutual interest in a deal there. That was 6 hours ago per Yahoo Sports.
Wow.
So I did. Yeah.
Hey, Dalton. You want to retract that initial reaction?
I think that was like one of his, he put out a list of his favorite cities, and I think Toronto was just one of his favorite cities, and he just wants to give everybody.
Oh no! I'll wait for my apology. I don't like your initial reaction.
You're gonna have to wait another episode because there's no way that Giannis is going to the Raptors. There's no one there. There's no team.
You heard that quote though. There was mutual interest.
That means it's happening. That means it's happening.
There's mutual interest between Brock and Bonnie Blue, but I still don't see that happening. So
no, it's not.
Anyway. Like, come on! What are we even talking about here?
So who am I in that one? Am I Giannis or am I Toronto? Who am I in that comparison?
I'll let you decide.
Oh, okay.
But as far as this series goes for me, I'm torn back and forth. There are a couple reasons why. Obviously, the history tells me that Edmonton's probably going to win it. Just because I love that Sidney Crosby and Wayne Gretzky stat. I don't know the comparison there to when, Gretzky got to the finals, lost to the Islanders, got back the next year, had the rematch, and then Gretzky won the second rematch. Crosby with the Red Wings, same thing, lost the first time, came back, got the rematch, beat them the second time. So if you're a history nerd, you think it's destined to happen. As I watch this game happening, though, I'm like, man, this is literally Florida's last run because kind of what we hinted at earlier. Like they're gonna need some hometown discounts if they're gonna get some of these guys to stay. The Marchands, the Ekblads, the Reinhardt, or not the Reinhardts, but the Bennett's, They
lost pieces last year, though, too. Like, Montour's not there.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter.
Like, I'm just saying. Like,
and Bob's going to be, 35 next year? Or 36 even?
Buddy, no, I think he's 37. I think he's north of 35, I think.
So, he's going to be another year older. I'm torn, and I think if I had to go, I think I'm just leaning toward the history side, and I think I hope a jinx happens because I'd like to see the Canadian streak continue of not winning the cup. So I'm going to go Edmonton at 7 because why not? Tell me how many teams in Canada have a Vince Lombardi trophy, Brock?
That is one of the funniest lines you've said about this whole Canadian USA thing. I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
Explain to our Canadian listeners what that is.
It's a Super Bowl trophy. That's what that is. Yeah. Anyway. Don't insult our Canadian listeners like they don't know. Go ahead, Mike.
In addition to that cup stat of Crosby then went on to win a gold medal for Canada at the Olympics the very next year. So, I mean, McDavid already won the Four Nations face-off.
Parallels continue, yeah.
And so, will he lose the one cup, win the next cup against in the rematch, and then go on? And I'm really hoping. Sorry, Brock, but I'm really hoping.
Apologize all you like.
that the U.S. finally figures it out in the Olympics on the bigger stage where it matters. Tage Thompson, but also, I mean. No.
But,
you can't
keep away with this. Sorry, I cut you off. Sorry, Mike.
No, but that's I think that would be quite the storyline there, because I'm pretty sure they brought this up, and I'll quote Spit and Chicklets actually, because I was listening to them earlier today, that I'm pretty sure that when Gretzky did it, lost the first one to the Islanders, won the second one to the Islanders, and then went on to win a championship nationally or representing Canada. I don't know which tournament that was. Was that Worlds at the time? I'm not sure. It was back in the 80s, but it was a very similar path as well. So
there's so many. It's weird how time is just a flat circle and how it just loves to repeat itself. And so I think that's probably where I'm going to go. So if you're going to fade me, I would go Cats in 7, maybe Cats in 5. Go ahead. Yeah, what do you got?
No, I was just going to say history often does not necessarily repeat, but it definitely rhymes.
Okay.
I love that quote. That's not my quote, but I love that quote.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind. Fair enough. Well, we'll definitely see what happens. We appreciate having you in again, Mike. It's always nice to have
Thank you.
2/3 American on this podcast. So I know you're going to put you on the spot. We do have to get negative on this podcast. Like you always know, it's time to put somebody in the bin. This is brought to you by Warlord Beard Oil. Mike, I don't know if you checked this out, but you can check out warlordbeardoil.com. Use the promo code OLDSports for 15% off beard oils, washes, soaps, and more. And if you end up spending over $75 or more on the website, you get free shipping. And they do, I think, have baby oils, just in case that fits your fancy. But Brock, big Canada Daddy, I know you're a big baby oil guy yourself. Who did you want to put in the bin this week?
Nice. So I really like this one. This stumbled across my feed, and Graham reminded me of it today. This is now 3 straight cup finals for the Florida Panthers, and the Calgary Flames have still not made that first-round pick that was included in the Matthew Tkachuk trade. So Calgary, I am putting you in the bin. That, man, revisionist history is revisionist history, but looking back at that trade, I thought Calgary hit it out of the park, and boy, oh boy, did they bunt it out of play, and it got caught. Oh my God. Rough.
Well, definitely. Rough. Well, they've come a long way too. They had they were projected to be bottom 5, but one of the analysts on this podcast this past year, they were fighting till tooth and nail for the last day for the playoff.
I didn't know Dustin Wolf was this good. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Nice. We'll see. Mike, did I give you enough time, or did you want me to go?
No. I'm gonna smuggle a second one in here. I'm gonna throw 2 things in the bin because I feel like my first one isn't super fair. I'm gonna throw Thomas Nosek in the bin for the delay of game.
I agree.
It's an accident, but that cost them the game right there. But if I have to throw an actual like you did, Brock, a franchise in the bin for getting us to this point, it'd be the Boston Bruins, and I have no shame in doing that because you've unleashed Brad Marchand out in Florida with the rest of the Rats, and look at what he's done in these playoffs. He had a goal tonight. I mean, you hate to see it, right? Like I was like I said, I was at the gym and I just watched that puck go in, and I saw 63 go and give the high fives, and I'm like, of course it's Marchand, of course.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I don't trust anybody with a bigger nose than me. Look at this thing. I mean, I don't trust Brad Marchand at all. Although if he was on my team, I'd probably
absolutely.
Oh yeah, Brock posted in our group chat too. Any idea if you had to guess right now what's the contract he signs next year? I think my final guess is going to be 2-year, $9 million. By the way,
per year
with total?
Yeah, with somebody. No, per year. So like 2-year. I guess it'd be 2-year, $18 million.
I don't think it gets to 9. That feels a little rich. Apparently, he was willing to sign it. Like he was apparently willing to take like 4.5 in Boston, and they still said no, which is crazy to me. Yeah, which is crazy to me. I don't know exactly. That is complete hearsay. So I don't know. To me, I think it's 2 years.
His agent won't let him take that. Are you kidding me? If I was his agent, I'd be like, no, you sign. No, absolutely not.
No. If the player says sign it, no agent can say no. But it's to me, it's probably 3 years because it's Brad Marchand. He's going to get what he wants. I would assume he wants term. And I feel like it's going to be 6 to 7-ish. That feels like the sweet spot for me on a 3-year deal. If it's a 2-year deal, maybe it's over 7, maybe. But that's just my sentiment on it. That's how I feel it's going to go. He's gonna do whatever he wants for sure. He'll sign wherever he wants for however much he wants because everybody.
Toronto.
If he'll come.
Oh, he's arriving.
I'll take it.
I've heard Montreal because it's close to Boston. He'd be close to family. But I mean, I could see him staying in Florida. I mean, it all depends on the cap
I could see
situation.
him going anywhere. Like if he gets to market, I did this exercise earlier with Graham on the phone. Like Marchand, like the culture he brings alone is just so palatable. Like imagine a team like the Jackets that have all this cap space. Hey, Brad, you want 3 years at $10 million? Here you go. Like you want money? Here, we'll give you all the money. If you want to win, that's not ideal.
Him and Mitch Marner would be sick together. Could you imagine?
I can't imagine. I will imagine. In fact, I can't. I mean, I will. But it's
nice.
I would love that. But that's, I guess, the long and the short of the Marchand discussion. I love that bin though.
Okay.
Like it's so true.
Yeah.
F the Boston Bruins on every forefront forever and ever.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah. Well, fair enough. Well, I wanted to put the Dallas Stars in the bin. I know we've gained quite a Dallas Stars following over the past couple weeks.
Apparently, yeah.
But unfortunately, I got to put him in the bin for a couple reasons. One, the whole coach goalie fiasco. That has just been an absolute nightmare situation, the way Pierre DeBoer handled that game 6 debacle with Edmonton and benching Jake Ottinger and everything else in between. But they also made history because they became the second team in NHL history to lose three consecutive conference finals in a row. So I couldn't find who the other team was, believe it or not. I went all the way back to like 1975. So I don't know if it's when like the conferences were different.
That would make sense when there's only like 6 teams. You know what I mean?
I couldn't Google it, but I went all the way back to like the 70s, and I could not find a team that lost 3 consecutive conference finals. So if somebody wants to like let me know on Instagram, send us a DM. I would love to know who that actually was. If one of our stat heads out there, one of our all world listeners, there you go, can find that for me. That'd be great. So yeah, that was
popular in Sweden. Was it Sweden?
No, Netherlands. Yeah, shout out to our Netherlands and Dutch fans.
We're popular in the Netherlands. That's fun.
Yeah.
No, just me. It was just the episode I was on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Mike's a big fan of blonde hair and blue eyes. So
who is it?
Well, he's Italian. He's Italian, man. He's
Italian.
Anyway,
I don't discriminate. Anyway,
absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of prospects at the Indy 500, by the way. So, but that was nice. That was in the bin. That was brought to you by Warlord Beard Oil. Make sure to check out warlordbeardoil.com and use that promo code OldSports for 15% off. Again, spend $75. You get some free shipping with it. Let them know that we sent you. Now we'll get positive before we wrap this puppy up. We're going to hand out the C. We're going to give somebody the C, and this is brought to you by SeatGeek. You can make sure to download the SeatGeek app and use the promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off your first purchase. So we can go check out a White Sox game, maybe get some $20 off your purchase. You know, I don't know, Brock, what kind of sports you got up there in Toronto nowadays? MLS, maybe you can check some soccer out now that hockey's over.
Yeah, there's
something. Yeah. Blue Jays. I don't know what kind of SeatGeek is going on in the Netherlands, but you can use that promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off wherever you are. Download that SeatGeek app, and we'll hook you up, courtesy of Between the Benches. So, Brock, who do you want to give your C to this week?
Well, I am normally one of the biggest critics when it comes to the NHL as a league and how they operate. In most of their decision making, like the Department of Player Safety and whatnot, and the CBA in general, you could nitpick that, et cetera, how they promote their players. I can go on and on. But whoever came up with this idea for these viral moments for the NHL awards, which is apparently what they're going for with what they did with Barkov and Kucherov, I think they've hit this one out of the park. They normally don't change. They don't deviate from tradition. And in this situation they have. They're trying something different. And I'm going to give them their flowers for it. I will acknowledge change when a change is attempted, and I think this is for the better. I'm excited to see how this 1 hour special goes next week before Game 4, because I think what they're doing so far has been good. I'm not going to say it's like, 550 feet upper decker home run, but it's a home run.
Cal Raleigh, yeah.
This is going well. I like the idea. I think it's doing what it was meant to do, which is great. If you haven't seen the Barkov clip, by the way, with the kids in the hospital, it is very wholesome, very, very sweet. I recommend you go watch it.
That's the one I haven't seen. I saw the Kucherov one, though.
I've seen both. They're both good. They're both good just for different reasons. The one is with his Kucherov's is with his teammates, and in the Florida one, he gets the kids from the hospital that he usually goes and sees apparently once a week, which, Sasha Barkov doing non-Sasha things. We like to see that.
Nice. Yes. Well said. Also, you should give the Florida Panthers the C because I think their whole organization went to the Gaudreau 5K walk recently or whatever it was.
I did not know that, but yes.
Yeah, literally the whole team, everybody from trainers to players to coaches to everybody in between attended that. I believe it was this past Saturday. So shout out to the Panthers organization for doing that. Go ahead, Mike. I think I gave you enough time to maybe come up with one. Who are you giving your C to?
I'm giving my C to Paul Bissonnette for playing through gout.
Nice. Okay.
Had gout, and he's still surviving. So
nice.
Well, he gets his C, buddy. That's the first C I think he's probably ever had in his entire career.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah. I'll let this when I make the shorts. Maybe we'll tag him in this one. Hopefully, he gives us. See if we'll get a shout out from him.
He watched my story today because I reposted his thing. We've actually gone back and forth because I won that Pink Whitney shot machine for a while back, and then I made the video and stuff like that. I've met him too at a couple of events, but nice guy. I don't think he remembers me. I think he remembers the blonde that I was at the event with.
Nice.
Hey, remember your nose. You just said you can't forget that nose. So come on, don't sell yourself short, man.
It's gonna get longer the more you talk about me like that.
Yeah, you've been hanging out.
Nice.
Yeah, hanging out with Kuznetsov in your spare time or something.
Heyo.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's a good one. I like that. I'm gonna give my C to Arturas Slovis. I think I said that right. Did I say that? No. Artur Slovis. I think I'm saying the last name right. No.
No, you got the first one right. Oh boy.
Go ahead, Brock.
This one's unfair because there's no H where Artur's Shilovs.
I've seen him play for the Canucks too. That's the sad part. Yeah. I think I actually spot started him in fantasy at one point this year, and he got me a couple wins. But Shilovs, he is the goalie right now for the Abbotsford Canucks in the AHL. But he's getting the C because he's totaled 5 shutouts in the Calder Cup playoffs so far this year, and he is one away from tying the AHL record for shutouts in a postseason set by Mika Nornen, and that was back in 99-2000 AHL playoffs. So he's carrying those Canucks down there, and I tell you what, the Canucks may have a goalie conundrum because then they signed Lankinen to Lankinen. Then they signed Lankinen to an extension, like a 3-year deal, and then they got Demko, and they're going to lose Shilovs for what, nothing?
Demko only has 1 year left. Does Shilovs need a contract?
I think Shilovs needs a contract if I'm recalling correctly from how I read.
We can look into that once the offseason.
Yeah, that's a good offseason topic. But yeah, I think
talk about
Sharks ? Flyers ?
No, Sharks definitely not.
Would they send it in division?
Flyers ?
Flyers maybe. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They need a goaltender.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense.
They always need goaltenders. So, but yeah, Shilovs is getting the C, playing well. And then I think it's I don't know if they've made the finals yet, but I do know the Checkers have made the finals in the AHL. So Florida can go for a sweep if they win the Stanley Cup and the AHL Cup. They can go back. Fun. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. So, and how the hell do you get a polar bear for a mascot when you're called the Checkers and you play in I think they play in North Carolina, but how in the hell does that become your mascot? I don't know. Anyway, that's off-season talk apparently. But gotcha. Well, good episode, guys. That was, by the way, Getting the C. That's brought to you by SeatGeek. Make sure to use that promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off your first purchase, courtesy of your friends here between the benches. But anything else anybody want to add?
I will say this. Could you imagine that all of this time that I'm just fucking with you and you are saying the names right?
Oh my God. Could you?
Could you imagine?
Which did I? It was Saskatchewan. Is that I said last?
Saskatchewan was a fun one.
Because I was putting
Saskatchewan.
I was putting them
literally
together.
just
I literally married those two. Yeah, it was a nice
and
mishmash.
Darsh, the one that
Darche. He just throws an accent on it. Just
you
knew he was French, so you're trying like make it sound more French. Like
I'm with you. Yeah, that's where I was. That's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
We did cover Giannis in this episode with our little basketball talk there.
Antetokounmpo, yeah.
Okay, I have no fucking idea. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I don't.
Antetokounmpo, yeah.
Yeah, I would not have got.
Yeah.
You showed me that, no fucking idea.
And I said Giannis, but it is really Giannis. The Greek
is it Giannis? No.
No, you say it with a Y. Yeah, like gyro, like when you eat a gyro.
Yeah, I love a good gyro.
So
we're the best city for gyros.
How do you actually say it?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, so I said it right. Giannis, not Giannis.
Yeah.
Giannis or Giannis.
I said Giannis. I added a little G in there.
We've got off the rails
I'm part Greek, so I should.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Well, 46 shots tonight, guys, for the Edmonton Oilers. And the 46th one was the winner, courtesy of Leon Draisaitl. 2 goals in game 1.
Fun stat. My buddy, near the start of overtime in one of my group chats, made me pick who scores the winner for each team. I went Bennett for Florida, Draisaitl for Edmonton. Your boy picked it.
Nice.
Like that.
Well, you need to start putting money on it. What are you doing?
Shout out Matt. I should have put money on it. Yeah, if Matt's listening.
Degenerates, bro. What are we doing?
That's degenerates. Are we not doing that anymore? We gotta bring that back.
Oh, I guess we should bring that back. Well, we feel like we need to do more than one episode to do that. Also, if we're gonna do that, I mean, you want it, I'll give you what the people want. You know what I mean? The people want it, people get it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we are the Between the Benches podcast. Again, Mike, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
always
sir.
A pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
You're a lot. Well, I swear, something about you just seems more handsome than Graham. I don't know if it's the hair or the fact that you're American. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we're Between the Benches. Make sure to check us out wherever you get your social media, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We are brought to you by the Old City Sports Network, and we will catch you next week. And that concludes this week's episode of Between the Benches. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and check us out on YouTube. Also hit the like and subscribe button and look out for the next episode. Until next week, you Harley Riders.
Doc, what a fitting ending! This is incredible!